that gives you a character, but you go straight up to you have to go to Damcyan to go get the actual hovercraft. It makes routing choices between runners so polarizing because of what they can do, where they can go, what they can pick up. Um, and if they start with a strong second character like an Edge, you might see them go right into Baron to try to get that character from Baron, check that spot, uh, as well as go up, grab the speeder, come down, grab a character, already start with four characters. There's a lot of choices when it comes to these starts that we're discussing.
And one thing I do want to note, you see 4 runners here on our screen. There are actually 12 runners in this race. So we're also running streams on RPG Limit Break as well as Randomania. So if you'd like, you can pull up multiple streams, but we will be focusing just on these 4. And we'd politely ask that if you are watching multiple streams, please try to keep this chat just for the runners on screen.
Yes, please keep it courteous, and please no spoilers. If there's anything that needs to be announced, we'll certainly handle that. We are watching IRC. If anything needs to be said, we'll certainly take care of that. I do believe Aizen is up, so we should be getting that showing up pretty soon, but the runners are going to be off real shortly.
Oh, and there's Aizen's screen back up, so it looks like we're about to get started. So good luck to all the racers, and they should be getting started any second here. There's the countdown in SRL.
And in SRL, they are off to the races, so we'll be seeing them start real soon here. That moment we've all been waiting for. Yang start early. And a pass. I don't think I've actually seen a pass start in something like Forge Percent. I've never actually seen a pass be the first item that they get. So yeah, they're going to have to go and find their next step, which could be very well be the moon, as well as who knows. We're looking to see what's going to happen. So most people start right at Baron first, and they will check the plenty of spots that are available here. But as you can see, Zyrak is going to be the exception to that rule, going to Troya and going to check the Troya small armory.
So that pass is not too interesting for us viewers, but for the runners, they're definitely happy to see that, because that means when it ultimately comes time to go to Zeromus for the final fight, they won't have to walk through the moon. They can just take the shortcut in Troya. So we did see Edward at Baron Inn, blocked by Antlion as well as an unknown second boss. So this early party is looking kind of rough. None of these characters are all that strong early on. Yang takes some levels, Tella kind of needs to unlock his spells at her deals, and Edward has his uses, but he's not the strongest.
Yeah, very, very niche uses. And like I said, Yang is very strong in-game. Early game, you'd rather find him later. You don't want to start with him because it's such a tough start. You can't back row him. He doesn't take a lot of damage. He doesn't really have that health growth in the very beginning. Early cabins, early star veils, early coffins. That's a lot of items right there in Troya in the first shop, the past shop, and sirens and ether ones. Troya's the gold mine.
Yeah, Troya's got really good economy this game. Got all the good products.
And Zyrek already making use of that early exit spell. But like I said, that's going to...
So Dusty Griff going to Mist Village to do some looting. Mist is a little bit less efficient than some of the other locations, so he's probably just going for more looting than the other players who may be going directly to Antlion or into Damcyan. So we'll see if Dusty actually gets anything good from his extra looting.
A couple of decent things in the Damcyan army. The bandana is really nice. That's actually one of the best caps or hats you can have in the game. It gives a lot of damage modifiers. It's just by far one of the best to have for Yang and any of your physical damage. I missed who was in bed.
I did not catch that either. So Zyrek did decide to go directly to Antlion Cave after looting and shopping in Troya. And I'm guessing just because there were so many good items for sale, he feels like might as well just get started fighting bosses.
Now, Silkwebs were in the Oasis town. I always forget its name because Kaipo. So Silkwebs are the lone item there. And Vanilla Rosa, according to chat, in bed with a cane up on Mount Ordeals with Mom Bomb, Vanilla Bomb.
So that's going to be a really good sign for the runners. They'll be breathing a sigh of relief to see Kane. He's quite strong early on, and he'll really help out this party. On the Zyrax side, we see Dark Knight Cecil as the boss in place of Antlion. And one good thing about Telline Yang is they start with pretty high HP, and you just have to survive 3 dark waves against this boss. So he'll be just fine against that.
Since I accidentally had their they had their encounters turned on by mistake. I don't know if they did that because they were changing something earlier, but you can turn encounters on and off in these flags. So yeah, that's you might want to make sure that's off when you start walking.
Yeah, not something you want on. Not the worst to happen in Antlion Cave. The monsters there aren't as scary as some places. So we did see the item was Adamant in Antlion. So we are, I guess, halfway to go mode at this point. We have the pass and half of the crystal already.
Yeah, we are literally halfway there, where we're looking for the underground access to actually make the crystal as well as the legend sword now. So this will be something else if this is super quick early go mode. You know,
be seeing a very fast seed potentially.
Yeah, because it's one of those things where you know, the moon bosses and the summon being there, that means the whole moon has got total of what, 5 spots. That's no, excuse me, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 6 spots because of Bahamut, Cape Bahamut. So that's 6 spots that something could be there. Underground has quite a few more, and then once you get Baron Key, that's also got 2 spots. So there's like the moon has got places, but the chances of something being up there required is not always possible. It's not always going to be something that people are worried about. And the fact that we've already found half of it, it's looking like the moon might not even be required this time around.
Of course, we could always have the Legend Sword behind a giant chain, and then everyone ends up 17 out of 17 anyway.
And let's not forget, Scala did roll this seed.
So it looks like most of our runners have picked up Kane now. I did not actually notice if any nice Kane weapons have been picked up yet.
Not that I've seen. A couple of decent armor pieces, but nothing as far as a weapon.
Yeah, once you get a decent weapon for Kane, one of the mid-range swords or an axe, then he really starts to do a lot of damage even at low levels. Just the base attack power really helps out.
Yeah, the only thing that you really saw there is just that wind spear that's in the four chests on Hobbs. So nothing too spectacular fight.
Zyrak exiting out after clearing out Mount Hobbs. He's a little bit ahead as far as checks go, having already cleared Hobbs and Antlion, but he hasn't done as much looting as the other players, but he will be the first one to check out Fabul.
Yeah, Fabul's a great place to plan to go to at strategic moments because it gives you a heal before and after the fight. So you can use it to your advantage if you just got done with a pretty stressful fight that took you down low and you need to go ahead and heal back up. Just like at the end of ordeals as well, you get a free heal. So
the boss at Fabul is Baigen. This can be a scary boss in some places. Probably not too hard, though with Kain down it could be pretty scary.
Yeah, that's a rough thing to have happen. Kain getting focused there is rough, especially he's your damage doer. And starting in the front may not have helped, especially with the fact that they focused him down. So hopefully he can get a heal off real quick for Kain. It's looking like he's going to be able to get the jump off.
And yeah, being in the front row kind of hurt there, so Zyrak realized he needed to swap his character to the back. You can do that during battle, and that'll keep them a lot safer from the physicals. And just keep jumping with Kain, and you should be able to get through this. So the way the boss works is the arms will regenerate if you kill both of them. So you can just take care of one of them, just to have less things attacking you, and then you can work away at Baigen's body until finish that off, then finish off the last arm.
And in certain spots, if you're not careful and the last arm is a lot faster than you, it can take out one of your characters. So if you're down to the last couple of hits, I've seen Baigen in the Baron Inn as a second fight cause some trouble. You'll get the middle part down and the second arm will explode. You've already down to one person and it'll take out your last character because the spot's got a decent amount of health for that explode to hurt.
So Arrow's also made his way into the Baigen fight now. It looks like his Kain has some sort of axe there, so probably a little bit stronger, plus the middle slot as a boost for accuracy. So Arrow may be able to catch up to Zyrak just from the stronger Kain.
You know, that might be a poison axe. I'm not sure where they may have found it at, but that does... It's definitely not a rune axe. Rune axe, I believe, a darker color.
Yeah, I don't remember all the colors. I just grab whatever I can find.
Whatever happens to cut the best at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna get our first beat.
Error did finish just slightly before Zyrak.
Lightsaber as the item. That's a lot of gold. I don't know if I'd hold on to that, especially if money mail. Never mind. Maybe just sell the money mail and the crystal mail and leave the lightsaber to itself. The crystal mail is not something you usually want to keep for Cecil because you can't berserk him. It doesn't really do you any good to use it. In a pinch, it's nice if you have like a Avenger, but it's better to sell, especially this early.
Yeah, pretty much the only time you want crystal is when you have to take on something like the Rubicante spot early, where you really need that extra defense. But usually it's just best for selling, as you said. I see Poison Claws for sale in Fabul, so probably picking those up for Zyrak. There'll be a nice strength boost for Yang, plus 10 if he picks up 2.
I'll do that from time to time myself. Check a few of the easier to go to weapon shops just to see if I can find it easy claw, because the claws aren't on that higher shop tier. They don't get put on that higher shop tier. Maybe a cat claw, but poison claws, they're going to be in S2.
Yeah, as you said, Error sold that crystal armor first chance he got. So Error and Zyrak following similar routes, just doing some more shopping. Probably they'll head to Baron Inn next, I would guess. They haven't unlocked any progression items yet, so there's Baron Inn and Mount Ordeals open. Baron Inn's generally the faster option, just because you don't have to walk up and one fewer boss. So there were Hourglass ones for sale in Mysidia. Zyrak picked up a few of those. Those can come in handy on a few of the bosses, the ones that are not classified as bosses per se, such as Dark Imps, which are regular enemies. So you can use the Hourglass to stop them, which makes them pretty much free. If they can't do anything, then you can just kill them at your own pace with no fear.
Yeah, Dark Imps are one of the more notable ones, as along with the Kaipo Inn fight. But more interestingly, too, the Dark Elf. Once you get Dark Elf into the Me Change state, when he gets into that dragon state, you can stop Dark Elf. It loses its boss bit in that second half. Very good way to stop, not get Dragon's Breath. So we get some interesting divergence here. We have Error going to Baron Inn, kill an Antlion. We're going to see that second boss, and we see Odin at the front of Ordeals on Zyrak's side. Ashura is in the Vanilla Yang spot. Star Veils? Yes. That I was about to say. I was like, does he have Star Veils? Yes. That's going to make this fight pretty easy.
Yeah, so Asura likes to cure herself, which makes her hard to kill, but if you use a couple of Star Veils, you can bounce one of them onto her, at which point her cures will bounce off the wall and onto you, so you just need to kill her before she can kill you, basically, at that point.
And at this spot, she will hurt. Every time you attack her, she will counter. No matter what you are attacking her with, she's going to counter with her faces will change, and she will swing at you, and she hurts. Almost anywhere that has any kind of physical damage, she's going to hurt. She doesn't tickle.
So Zyrak did take down that Odin with a little bit of lightning magic from Tella, and we see a karate fight in Mylon Z fight. And pay attention to that screen. There's a very nice kick animation in that spot because of the back attack.
Oh, it's the best spot for the karate fight. I love this one so much. There's very few bosses that can be in this back attack that I love to see, and one in particular that I hate to see, and I'm sure you know.
So checking in on the other runners, Dusty and Aizen also both opt for Mount Ordeals next. So Error is actually the only one to go to Baron Inn, and he actually has to take a reset against Asura.
They're probably heading to Ordeals as well. And that's the play. That's the best play right now, because that's really the only play. It's either Ordeals or the Baron Inn. I mean, there's no other spot to go. This is either going to be... This is going to open up Tella to let you have an easier time of fighting Ashura anyway. So it's best to just go ahead and head this way. But this could be the answer. This could give us Magma Key, Darkness Crystal, Hook. It could give us whatever leads to one of those. So it could give us Baron, Earth, something to that effect. So now, something we haven't checked yet, though, we have not seen Mist Dragon yet. So D-Mist is still out there. Could be in the vanilla spot or in the Octomam spot. That could be the answer if we do not find what we're looking for here or in the Baron Inn.
Alright, so Zyrak into the Paladin Shrine. So just one more fight there, and then he'll be free with a powered up Tella. The item is the hook. That has very interesting implications because generally following the hook is the harder way to get to the underground, so we may see some runners just bite the bullet and go for it, while others may decide to keep trying with Baron Inn and anywhere else that opens up to see if they can find a magma key for the easier route to get underground.
Yeah, and this third fight on Ordeals is a low health fight, and not much you gotta go through. Dark Elf is one of the more annoying ones to be there because it has a phase change. But not many fights are going to be here that you're going to be worried about. Even Wyvern on a normal flag without the Wyvern flag, you're not really that worried about it. It's a very slow spot. No matter who you have, it's just slow. Now the real question is, who's going to be behind the hook? What character's going to be over there?
I'm going to guess Vanilla Edge. He seems to be there a lot.
Vanilla Edge would be interesting. I kind of want to see a Fusoya. I want to see this be the one lone. Well, I guess we have Yang too. I was going to say the one lone fighter, and I forgot they're Kane on Ordeals and starting with Yang. I mean, yeah, having all fighters is kind of makes things easy, man. give us Rydia. We haven't found any good summons. Give us Rydia.
So Zyrak gonna check the last shop before he either follows the hook or goes into Baron Inn. He does not yet know that it's Asura as a second fight, so I would guess he'll try it. Most fights there aren't too bad. Asura is actually one of the worst.
Now, if it is a Rune Axe that Kane has for these runners, which for Air, I don't know. I don't think it is the Rune Axe because we would have. Well, then again, Kane really didn't get much of a chance to attack. So I'm kind of interested to see if they have a Rune Axe that is extra damage to mages, and Ashura does qualify as a mage, so it will do extra damage.
So Aizen is heading down Ordeals. Error and Dusty are just seconds apart, finishing up the Ordeals fights. And Zyrak about to see Asura. Let's see how he does.
And they definitely have Star Veils. I know they have at least a few. Yeah, they got 3. So, I wonder if Zyrak was thinking, checking to see what they have as far as weapons.
So it looks like he just has a wind spear on Kane. Better than a spear, but not by all that much.
And, very smart on Zyrak's end, like waiting to do any action to hit Asura and just holding off, making sure that nobody gets hit full force by being in the front. One of the things that you can do with Asura, which I don't know if you want to spend this much time doing this fight, you can kind of outdo her if she heals herself enough. Her Cure 4s, and I believe her Cure 3s, I would actually need to check with you on that. Her Cure 4s will not heal her anymore. They'll start replenishing her magic instead. I'm not sure about the Cure 3s. I think that's also the case for those.
So actually, Zyrak's taking the reset. He could try again and cast Wall, and then perhaps use Tele for curing and blinking to try to stay alive that way, but looks like he's gonna try something else. Head it to Troya, just restocking on something. So Aizen, actually all the other 3 runners are now in Asura. And looks like they're all popping walls onto Asura one way or the other. So hoping to, again, out-damage her and reflect the cures.
Just like Ashura loves to do, always curing the person who needs it the least.
It's actually a pretty nice touch from Error. I think he's reflecting some spells with Tela onto Asura, like Fire 3 I saw. So by doing that, it actually prevents Asura from countering, because enemies do not counter a reflective spell. It's essentially a counter-recounter. Does not happen.
Yeah, the only time that she will counter is if, and that is very smart on Dusty Griffs, and Dusty Griffs is using Illusion on the front-facing Yang, so any physical damage is going to be missed for 3 total hits. So that's going to be really nice to avoid losing this fight.
So Error did manage to clear Asura, and he was rewarded with a nice Edward as well as a Baron key. So we could see these runners continue chasing that, hoping for a Magma key. Or again, someone may decide just, cut their losses and head down the hook route.
And Zyrak showing us a very uncommonly seen area going into the Watery Pass, deciding to check a few of those chests there. Again, making use of that exit spell from Tela. And yes, I believe that was Rose. That was still in. And it was either Ruby or Elements at the Beigen spot. I think either one of those is still going to be tough. I don't know. Still not really entirely a high level.
I would think with Tela having his spells now and Yang having various elemental claws, it should be doable. Exploiting those weaknesses helps out a lot. With elements, we could even see reflected spells for a phase skip, so that we only see 1 fiend instead of 4.
I think of the 2, I would rather see elementals over Ruby, because Ruby could probably hit you pretty bad and make it tough to recover, doing the glares and the certain double hits that he does. Just some of his scripting is really tough.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to time the spells with Tela. An Ice 3 would kill Ruby, but you gotta hit it outside of the cape. So it is Rubicante. So Error trying to time some spells here to get some ices to hit, as well as do some jumps, have Yang hit hopefully with some Ice Claws for bonus damage.
And surprisingly enough, that Ice spell came out really fast for Tela.
Yeah, so he might have... Error may have some sort of agility manipulation going on, either fast Tela or slow agility anchor. That particular spot's also not super fast.
That is very true. The Beigen spot isn't particularly known for its speed. It's also one of the first boss fights that you fight right after turning into a paladin in the upper. Oh, that's an easy fight.
So Plague, all he does is cast Count on your party, which if the count makes it down to 0, then your character dies. But if you can manage to kill off one of your characters and then revive them, then Plague will refresh count on the entire party. So by doing that repeatedly, you can effectively keep this fight going as long as you need. So meanwhile, Dusty has made it past Asura and is also following into Baron Castle. Zyrak decided doesn't want to bother forcing Asura right now, and he's just going to follow the hook route, so he's now in Eblon Cave and fighting the Trapped Chest fight.
Wow, Error pulling off the zeros on his party members and
Not
getting that
even
final
close.
hit. And that reward is a Fusoya. I will take that reward.
Yeah, even if there's no key item here, that may still be worth it, just for having such a strong character.
They have, I think they have 8 bosses right now. I might be miscounting at least one. I don't think they've done Octomam. I don't think they've done Divas checks or anything like that. But with Ordeals, Baronin, and Hobbs, 9 actually, because I'm not counting 10 because I'm not counting the other 2 spots that had key items. So they have 10 fights right now. So Fusoya is going to have quite a few spells. Whether or not he has the key ones, Nuke, Quake, hard to say. And a Rat Tail, that's actually really good considering we have the hook.
So speaking of those extra bosses for powering up Fusoya, I did see Zyrak peek into the Octomom spot, and it was a Golbez. So Golbez is very slow because he talks at you for a while, so probably going to leave that one for now, even though it would power up Fusoya just a little bit.
Oh, I call it. It's Iridia. That's nice.
Did you notice who the boss was down there in Eblon?
King and Queen Eblin, I believe.
Oh, so that is a 100% free fight. Just wait it out and you win.
Yeah, unfortunately, the King and Queen Evelyn spot can be a gate. That spot is a rough spot sometimes to get through if it's the wrong fight. Luckily, though, we don't have to worry about fights like DKC. We've seen that one. We've also seen Golbez, so we know 2 of them are not going to be in that spot, which is very, very useful. And that is Kaipo Infight in the Demas spot. So, and Fusoya does have Quake, which is very nice. And this will be boss number 11, so they need a total of 3 more fights to full power Fusoya.
Dusty has made it into the Plague fight in the throne room. I would guess he plays it a bit safer than Error. Probably not going to see 0000 on his screen. There we see Error sees that Golbez, immediate reset, does not want to sit around waiting for that.
Cannot blame him at all.
And yeah, so on Dusty's screen we see him killing off Yang and then lifing him up in order to cause Plague to reset the count. So that's the safe strat to use here. Just make sure your characters stay alive and just keep doing damage.
Yeah, alternatively, I can speak. You can also cast Wall on a character. You can either try to do it before the count actually goes up, but at this moment, it's going to be a lot harder to do because of agility anchoring, and it's kind of a funky setup at the moment. But you can reflect count back on Plague, and if the character that has Wall on doesn't have count, Plague will just constantly read that. This is a Mylon, and it's Mylon 1. That's actually the more fortunate one to have here.
So Error did turn in that Rat Tail and only got an Artemis Bow. So Zyrek's going to be quite ahead now because it is a required Hook Seed from the looks of it. And these bosses are actually not too bad, as you said.
You know, in another life, yeah, I would probably be mad about an Artemis Bow, but that's probably going to drop Edward anyway for Rydia. But an Artemis Bow for some of these characters that can wield a bow, if you get a chance to get Rosa or something like that, that's a really good weapon.
Yeah, the other consolation prize of clearing out Baron is also having that Fusoya in your party.
Yes, that's the big one.
So Error now in Eblon Cave. Looks like he does not want to bother with the trap chest, so he's just running past everything. And I'm sure he'll be happy when he sees King and Queen as the boss.
So, Zyrak has a fun little, I don't know if you'd call it a glitch, but if Odin actually gets the hit off, and it can kill and target the gas are actually non-boss bit. Mylon himself is boss bit, so Odin will target one of the gas and basically kill all them, and Mylon will also get cut in that same sequence, but won't actually die. So now he's fighting the spooky invisible boss.
This Mylon is hitting quite hard. The Lits are not doing much, low magic power or perhaps lightning resistance. But could be a tough fight even just with Mylon left. In fact, it may even be worse to have just Mylon.
Yeah, the surprisingly King and Queen Etlin spot is ooh, that's, I don't know, did we get a check in the Odin spot?
So actually Dusty is doing that for us, checking Odin, finding Kegnazo there. So it could actually still be a Magma key there, but that fight is really not something you want to do at this point.
That's a no. That's a big in.
Alright, so Zyrak did manage to take down the Mylon and is now just waiting for the King and Queen to talk themselves to death.
Yes, to infamously threaten to take them all down to the Hades, the one and only. So Fringe Vanilla boss here, surprisingly enough, the actual vanilla spot for King and Queen Etlin has a really high damage output for physical damage doers, but their magic stat is super low. It's supposed to be a free fight in the vanilla game, but it's one of those things where I don't understand why it has such a high physical damage output. It hurts. It hurts a lot.
So Dusty about to turn in his Rat Tail, then he'll be on his way, following the hook route as the others have done. Aizen just finishing up Baron Castle. Looks like he had a little bit more trouble with Rubicante. I think he didn't get the Ice 3 off like we saw the others do. So he's a little bit behind. Looks like Zyrak is a bit ahead as far as our forerunners on screen are. He's just making it past the boss and will be underground shortly.
So if you were Zyrak, where would you head first? Where would be your first check?
So no progression items, no tower key, no pan. So for me, I would be headed to the Land of Summon Monsters for the free key item there. Because remember, it is only one more item necessary. You just need to find that Legend Sword. So go mode could be anywhere, just one check away.
Yes, very good point. As well as the two summon boss fights, Leviathan and Ashura are down there. You very well could get a free fight there. You could get Water Hag, which is 3 hits and you're done. You could get Dark Imps, which we discussed is a free fight with a quick hourglass, and everything of that nature. And Tifa's Revenge, yes, sirens have been found. They were in the Troya main shop. Troya shop, this particular seed is loaded, so.
So with the sirens being available, as soon as we find that legend sword, these runners will be ready to head to Zeronis. They can use those sirens to grind on the eggs that can be found underground and get as many loaves as they need.
And with Rydia not having any, I guess, really any truly useful summon right now, I mean, none of them went to Hobbs, come think of it. Which I can't blame them. I can't blame them. You're not going to get Leviathan or Bahamut out of it. You might get a useful summon out of Ashura, and maybe an early Titan to make it to where you don't have to rush to do Dwarf Castle to get something out of it. But it's kind of a long sequence to see that pop up and go away.
I do believe I saw at least one of these runners pick up an Asura somewhere. I'm not sure which one, but that could be a healing option. But if Zyrek does not have that, he may be looking for a white mage, because he did not pick up that Fusoya. So it looks like he'll be headed to Dwarf Castle, perhaps, hoping to pick up another character.
Ashura was in Baron first spot on the right. Okay.
So probably everyone got that.
Yeah, so that was extremely early, and no wonder I didn't actually see that one.
So first boss in Baron Castle is Mylon Z.
And this is actually a pretty good spot for Mylon Z to be in. It'll do some damage, but for the most part, it's going to be a pretty easy cut and dry fight. Golbez's spot is actually very low health, so it's also a spot that you can get through pretty easily.
So we do see this Mylon Z hitting quite hard, although we do have the option to use illusions if we can get them off, and that will prevent all damage since this is a physical only fight. Kain and Yang can actually both do double damage here by hitting weakness. Yang can use the Fire Claw, which he starts with, and any spear will actually also do double damage against Mylon Z because he is weak to the air elemental. And as Tifa notes in chat, you can also use curative magic or any curative items if Zyrak has any, and throw them on Mylon Z for extra damage. So Error has made it past the King and Queen fight and is now underground. Dusty, just starting the King and Queen fight, will follow shortly.
And Aizen is taking a quick save at the save spot in the cave just before.
Zyrak just trying to stay alive here with illusions, lives, cures, just trying to keep everyone from dying against this Mylon Z, and looks like Tella can do Fire 3 for about 2,000, hope even almost 4,000 there. So it should be almost dead at this point. I think the spot has 8,000 total. So Tella going down. May have to take a few more turns to get set back up in order to deal the final blow. Meanwhile, Dusty taking a slightly different route, heading down to the Land of Summoned Monsters, gonna get that free item check. And it is a defense sword, so not a key item, but pretty nice find considering we haven't found the best things for Kain, and that's a pretty decent weapon for him.
If I'm not mistaken, that's actually like his third best weapon in the game for him, isn't it? It's light dragoon and then the defense.
Yeah, depending on how you measure, I guess some of like Avenger is better in some ways because stat boost and Berserk, but yeah, it's up there for sure.
Oh yeah, Avenger definitely is up there. I guess for me, the Avenger is like a whole different class, just due to the fact that it's like you switch to it. As far as that goes, yeah, Avenger is definitely I consider that his best weapon. It's lethal.
Smile on Z for Zyrak has to have less than 1,000 left. But just as soon as he tries to kill it, you know, Smile on Z just hits whoever's doing the attack.
So interestingly enough, we have a relatively free fight in the Leviathan spot. It's Bahamut. Does one move. Reflect it back.
Star Veils, they get reflected for a lot of damage. As long as Era has enough Star Veils, then this fight is totally free. Zyrak did finally make it past that nasty Mylon. Actually, I'm surprised it was so mean there. I haven't seen it hit that hard before.
I was very surprised by that too, especially after me saying what I did. Dusty is actually doing an early grind, going ahead and just saying, you know, I'm going to get a few spells. I'm going to go ahead and get ready, worked up. Probably thinking, you know, let's make sure I'm ready for a few fights. The Ashura spot was, in fact, the CPU. I don't know if I'd call that a free fight. It's a very slow and just arduous task to beat, because you only get hit for 10% of your health, of your max health, with the attacker doing its move, and you can predict it, you can heal through it most of the time, but if you can't do enough damage to the CPU, the main actual ball, then you're going to run out of magic before and just die. So
yeah, I would not want to touch the CPU there. Just too much health. Just takes, in my opinion, way too long just trying to whittle it down.
I agree completely. We do have Bahamut down, so we're going to see what item is in this location. All Fusoyo is at full power on Error's End, and the Pan, very nice.
So presumably Error will follow that, head over to Sylph Cave, and get 3 more key items, 1 from the Sylph and 2 from Yang's wife.
Yeah, that's where I would go, but it looks like they're... No.
Yeah, I might have been thinking about that CPU, but especially with the Pan, I think you gotta exit out.
I mean, who can blame him for stopping and thinking? It's like, you know, do I want to? Do I want to?
So Zyrak finishing up that Dr. Luge fight. Not too hard of a fight there at Goldo spot. Only 3,000 HP total split up between all the different forms.
Yeah, so that's going to be a total of 4 different forms, because you do have Balnab, Luge, Luge controlling Balnab, and then you have Dr. Luge and the...
So Porom was the character in Dwarf Castle. So not the best white mage, but nonetheless a white mage, so Zyrak's probably happy about that.
Not a bad item, but I think I'd rather see a key item there instead, but a Protect Ring at the Sylph Cave.
Yeah, Protect Ring, strong defense, may come in handy if we end up heading to the moon for those extra tough bosses.
And the Dwarf Castle is it gives the Sand Ruby. So not only did they get a white mage at the Dwarf Castle, gave you the item to go get the other white mage.
And Rosa is generally considered the better of the two, so we probably will see Zyrak cash that in, and he'll also get a free heal for his troubles if he does decide to use that Sand Ruby.
And does Sheila have the other piece to the puzzle today?
First one is a Magma Key, not very useful at this point, being that all these runners are already underground. Second one is a Dragoon Spear, which is pretty nice, definitely an upgrade as far as weapons for Kayn.
That actually makes any kind of moon grind, and frankly any grind other than like D Machine, which you want weak for, just easy, because that Dragoon Spear is going to do extra damage to dragons, so King Ryu's fights are going to be...
And I don't believe we've seen any of the dragon-type bosses either, so if we run into those, the Dragoon Spear will help out a bit there as well.
Absolutely. And then Era's deciding to come down and do the Dwarf Castle check. I mean, really, the only other spot to go to after this would be top of tower, or Odin, which I would go top of tower. Knowing who's at Odin.
I agree. It is possible to check what the boss is there as you get past the Rubicante spot. I know Zyrak looked, but he checked too quickly for me to catch which boss it was.
Yeah, I didn't catch it either. I honestly didn't see anybody move over to that side, so... but Zyrak's going to go ahead and do a grind. That's one thing that's actually very useful right now. They have a grind available to them now. It's not going to be double experience, but it's here. The egg grind is probably the most well-known and the easiest one to do of all the grinds. So,
and once they get that Dragoon Spear on Kayn, this is actually a very fast grind. Typically just one hit from Kayn and you're done with each egg.
Yeah, I mean, you got a couple of different options available to you. The Dragoon Spear, that's like, yeah, golden. Kayn probably is going to start faster than most other people because of his gear as well. And on top of that, you also have coffins that were in Troya as well. You can use the stone cast. On Zyrak's end, unfortunately, he only has a caster with 90 magic that has stone. But you can also do plenty of other options to kill off the dragons. As a matter of fact, they found a dragon whip not too long ago somewhere. I don't know if they sold it or not, but Rydia with a dragon whip is pretty lethal on him too.
Mm-hmm. So now, did Dusty decide to do the CPU before turning in the Pan?
The Madden.
He did do a little bit of grinding beforehand, so it's not terrible for him by any means, and he does have that defense sword for Kayn.
Yeah, you know, he has a couple of Ether 2s as well, and having Fusoya with Cure 4s, you're going to be able to get through those 10% damages pretty quickly. It's not going to be something you're worried about. Now, using the Ether 2s, I guess now is as good a time as any.
Did not notice if Dusty tried for any float reflect strats or not. It's a 50-50 strategy. Try to reflect float onto the attacker, and then you can quake away with Fusoya in order to hit just the CPU.
Yeah, he definitely didn't do that because 4 of his other characters would have. Which, yeah, if you do that and you end up getting the float on the attacker, that helps a lot. That's a huge damage.
Okay, so instead he just saved his MP in order to cast Media once he's whittled down the CPU a bit. So if he times this well, then could actually see Medio clean it up and not have to worry about Globe 199 at all. I should mention timing this here. It's kind of something you have to kind of play by ear, wing it a bit, because with randomization, you're not really used to it. But Dusty does it very well, just clearing things out with the Meteor. Very clean fight there.
Yeah, you know, he claims to not do the math. I think.
Oh!
Whoa!
Well, Dusty is now in a big lead. May see him finish first yet again.
Yeah, that fight we said we wouldn't do, we'd be finishing last.
So Dusty with the big call, picking up Go mode at sub 1 hour in a Forge run. That's pretty impressive.
Oh no, this means that everybody else is on a wild goose chase because they're about to go do. Now, Zyrak could step over and do that. Zyrak is still there. Eisen is still down in the Atlanta Summon Monsters. So either one of our other runners could still change over. Now, Dusty is in a better position than Zyrak, considering they have Fusoya and they have a little bit more of a complete team. Although Tell is a good anchor, you know, I mean, it's one of those things where you're kind of almost down a character. It's yeah, I don't know. This is going to be interesting. I'm going to be really interested to see if the other two that are in Land of Summon Monsters right now. Now, Error is going back.
Is this the big play from Error? I'm a little surprised Dusty is turning in this pan. I think he's only at 6 key items, so this would not get him to that 10 for the bonus experience. He may just be hoping for some extra equipment, maybe a pink tail for the adamant armor. He will be rewarded with a protect ring and a dragoon spear, which will actually help out quite a bit.
He might be thinking along the lines of if he were to check these and it had a key item each, led to another character, it would be beneficial to get rid of Tella. Something to that effect, maybe get rid of Rydia, somebody who can do more damage and edge, Cecil, anything like that. Because once he gets the crystal, he will have, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6. He would have a 7. You were counting the crystal, okay. Yeah, so that would be hoping for the 10. I don't know. I'm not sure what Dusty's doing right now, but albeit he knows better than me. And we do have the top 2 runners, Error and Eisen, going at CPU right now, while Zyrak is chasing that pan. Eisen did take out both the attacker and defender, so you're going to see Globe 199s, which is unfortunate, but you can try to life them back up and get through that. So a couple of well-timed Meteos can still take them out.
So I believe Eisen did not even bother with Bahamut. So I suspect that he's feeling like he's a bit behind, so kind of trying to make the unusual play of going for the CPU, which I think most people would be rather hesitant to take, as we both mentioned. And it's going to pay off for him.
Oh yeah, in spades. That's a very it's a bold play, but you know, the fight isn't difficult. It's just it can be long. It can take more time than it may be worth. That's the major reason. It's not that it's hard. It's just you really don't have a lot of healing power. You really don't have a lot of magic to use.
Yeah. So, and as many of us remember from one of the qualifiers, there was a CPU at Rubicante, which took most of us about 20 minutes because we did not have much damage there.
Yeah, it really comes to just damaging, and Eisen is rewarded with the Legend Sword. So now probably feeling really good about doing that fight, knowing where they're at. Now their decision on where they're going to head from here can make or break this right now. They did not go they have not done Bahamut, so they are in go mode without the allure of doing a pan. They have no reason to think about it. They reached full power. No, they're not full power on Fu, actually. They're only at 1800 health. So they need one more boss for full power on Fu.
Fu does have all spells, so it's not as big a deal to get that last boss. So Dusty is just grinding up now. As soon as he gets to the levels he wants, he will forge that crystal and take on Zeromus. We do see him killing off Tella. That is for agility manipulation purposes. By keeping one character low, you can place them in the middle to act as what we call an agility anchor, which effectively, by some slightly complicated math, makes your other characters quite a bit faster when your middle character is slower.
Yeah, there's a magic number for the Zeromus fight, usually multiples of 14, that you want your middle character to be. Obviously, you don't want it to be a high multiple of 14. From personal experience, Tella is kind of wonky with it. It's not a perfect science for some reason when he's in the middle. I don't know why. Fusoya has a static 20 with no modifiers from like a crystal ring or something like that. So he's a pretty good one to put in the middle. 20 is a decent number. It's not perfect, but it's good. So
Aizen did peek into Dwarf Castle just to check the shop. He either forgot where sirens are, or he's perhaps looking for some nice Tier 3s or Bacchus wines in order to help out his final fight.
I know we saw Bacchus wines. I don't know where though.
So Aizen actually did not clear out that missed spot yet, so he will actually get that full power of Fusoya still.
And as we see,
Error is now in go mode as well, picking up that Legend Sword at CPU.
Yeah, so 3 of our restream runners right now are in go mode, and Zyrak headed back to the Baron Inn to take revenge on Ashura and show her who's boss, going to get empty promises. But we'll end up with Fu, so if they decide to go down the Baron route, I can imagine they would do that considering the position.
One voice in my head in that position would be saying, someone else has done that already. They'd be done by now if this was the Legend Sword. So part of me would want to not bother with Baron Castle at that point.
I can... Oh, wow. What? Zyrak didn't have that Ashura yet. Did they know it was... They must have known it was there. They must have known it was there and just never... They must have reset or something and never picked it.
He's been to Baron before, but I think he died. So he probably picked it up and just didn't come back for it.
Yeah, so they're going down the Baron route. I can see that, because in the same respect, I agree with that. Thinking, kind of metagaming with what's going on with who's playing and knowing my opponents. But if it was, I would be feeling very behind if I was Zyrak. I'd be feeling awfully behind, because if it's behind Baron and it starts a long chain and nobody's done yet, that makes me feel even more like, oh no, what's going to happen next? So if they go check this Odin spot after this, which I can, after doing Baron, it's a pretty common thing to go check the Odin spot. Seeing Kainazo, it's probably going to feel like, great. This is probably what people are not doing. And they may try to take that chance. That might be the chance they try to take instead of going back to CPU.
So both Dusty and Aizen and even Error now starting to grind. Aizen does not have the Dragoon Spear, so he's going to have a little bit of a slower grind. There is a Dragon Whip on the Rydia.
Oh no, he had the Dragoon Spear sitting in... Oh no, Aizen doesn't. You're right, excuse me.
Oh yes,
I was looking at
Aizen.
error.
Could be because Aizen never picked up that PM.
Yeah, I was looking at error screen while thinking Aizen, and I'm like, yeah, it's right there. And I'm like, oh, never mind.
I wonder how much we'll see these runners grind. With this party, I think it would be doable to fight Zeromus in the low 40s, but certainly going up to around 50 would be a bit safer with higher HP, a bit stronger characters.
Yeah, the real question is, do they want to 3-man it and just kind of have the other two as, you know, meat shields when it comes to any kind of Zeromus counter with a nuke or anything like that? Fusoya is going to be the healer here. Do you take Rydia to nuke and reflect nukes? That's really the question.
My feeling is that it's generally not worth the extra grinding to get the nuke, especially when it's just one dedicated black mage, but could see these runners go for it. It's kind of up to personal preference. It's faster fight, but more grinding, so it kind of balances out.
Yeah, that's very true. I tend to lean with what you just said. Yeah, especially not having the 10 key items, and not having that available, I wouldn't do it. I would not do it. I wouldn't do the full grind on Rydia. I would just get Kain and Yang up to a sizable amount because they're going to do a decent amount of damage. Now they're not going to kill Zeromus in a fast measure, but with a good Ether 2 elixir with Fusoya's over 2,000, you're going to be able to be just fine. So.
Okay, I'm kind of confused what happened with Error, because a minute ago he was grinding eggs, and then now he's trying to fight Kignazo?
Error has more key items than anybody else on the screen. Has 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They need one more key item to be at 10. And their decision is to go to Kignazo. Did they do top of tower? I don't think they did the top of tower.
Yeah, this Kignazo is not a fun boss. Big Wave does HP based damage, so at a high HP spot like this, it hits pretty hard. If you get your lightning off in time, you can cancel the wave before it goes off, but harder again with faster spots like this one.
Yeah, everything about the Odin spot for Kignazo, it's a bad mix. It's a very bad mix. While French Vanilla, in one of the weirder senses of the words, it is painful. That spot hits hard, that spot is fast, and it has a lot of health. So, as you can see, that was a lot of damage, all from that big wave. So, now with only Fusoya to do any kind of recovery work, it's not looking good for this fight.
So he could probably actually just heal through it, because at this HP level, the wave will not one-hit KO either of his characters, but canceling out the wave means that now Kignazo gets a physical hit in, which does do enough to finish off Kain.
Yeah, so Fusoya is probably going to be able to survive this this next wave. That's yeah, but it still did half his health. Yeah, that's oh man, this is going to be really interesting if he wants to. Because the way the script works for Kignazo, one physical attack, puts up the water, does a wave. If you reset the wave, same thing. Physical attack, gather water, wave. If you don't reset the wave, does a fast cast and then gathers the water again, and then does wave. So it's not just wave, wave, wave. There's a method to it, but the faster the spot, the faster it goes.
So Dusty has decided he is done grinding, so he's heading to Zeromus. No one in the race of the 12 runners has finished yet, so Dusty is still going for first, potentially.
And the age-old question, Penguinator, Whose butt are we
Whose
kicking?
butt are we gonna kick today?
I'm hoping for a new one. I have my favorites from the old group, and like everybody remembers their first season. But I want to see a new one. I want to see what I haven't seen.
So who was your first Sea Sprite?
Mike Tyson was actually.
I'll admit I do not think I remember my first one. I'm not sure if there was even a Z flag at the very beginning.
I mean, I was gonna say you've been around in the FE community for what, since the beginning.
Yes, I was there the day board said, "Oh, by the way, new game."
That's I can imagine that was probably a very exciting moment to be like, you did what? And of course, I do want to take this moment while we're seeing some things that we've seen before, and we are seeing the Kanazo fight play out on Zyraxen, and we are going into the Zeromus fight. Big shout outs all across the board. Everybody here at the Free Enterprise Group, I really appreciate all of the things. Of course, big shout out to Board for the creator of this, as well as our restreamer Tarasu, as well as Alajir Brop. If I've said that wrong, I'm sorry. And as well as thank you to Penguinator for joining me today.
And thank you to Unknown Availability as well for joining me on commentary.
And since it's been a pretty eventful race as of yet, and quick at that, while we're about to see the Z-Sprite, don't forget, follow the runners. They deserve it more than any of us. They have been your entertainment for today. But what are those true?
So Aizen has forged and heading to Zeromus just behind Dusty. I'm guessing Aizen did a bit less leveling because he started quite a bit later than Dusty actually, and he's just a minute or two behind on entering Zeromus. Yeah, looks like low to mid 40s for Aizen, whereas Dusty got up to 50 at least.
And your special guest miss today is Gatomus from Chrono Trigger. The friendly robot that just basically puts a beating on you but doesn't decide to kill you. So, that's I've seen this one before, but it's one of my favorites. It's definitely on the end of the ones that make you happy to see.
So as far as Dusty's strats here in the fight, he did pop a Star Veil on Rydia in order to reflect spells, as well as berserking both Kain and Yang, so what we call hybrid strats, using both physical attackers and magic attacks from Rydia and Fusoya, although Fusoya may need to take the time to heal now that big things are coming out.
And now Aizen is starting the fight, and unfortunately for Zyrak, they're on a wild goose hunt. The top of tower has something. It's got to. There's no other way, because you have to have some sort of method to get to the moon. I hope that it's something like, I don't know what I want it to be. I hope it's the Luca key, actually. That's what I really hope it is. I hope it's Luca key to Vanilla Darkness Crystal, and everything else is on the moon. So that way Zyrak's like, no, and then goes back to CPU.
I would actually say the longer the chain is, the better, because Zyrak will pretty soon see some dot duns in SRL, and if there's a long chain before Darkness Crystal, then he'll start to think, maybe it's back at CPU. But if Darkness Crystal is right here, then he might be thrown totally off once he sees those dot duns.
Yeah, that's what I'm really hoping it's up to Darkness Crystal here, because seeing a dot dun in SRL, if you even watch SRL, you're not gonna stop a fight and go somewhere else. You're not gonna do it because you're like, it could be here. It could very well be here. So that's a very rough call. If it's Darkness Crystal here, which is it probably is. I doubt that it's something leading to Darkness Crystal, because the way it looks right now, we've cleared most of the Earth and Underground. Yeah. Natara Legend Sword was behind CPU at a Shura spot. And we are getting the first Big Bang on Aizen's side, and that is going to take out... No, that's the second Big Bang, excuse me. And that's actually very rough. Fusoya and Teller are both down, and two of them are in... Okay. Aizen was prepared for that, and in the meantime, Dusty Griff has knocked out Gatamus. And with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 38 seconds, Dusty Griff takes first place again. Yes, definitely get your GGs in chat. We're gonna see if we can get old Dusty to join us for just...
So meanwhile, Aizen is also in the fight, and he did not get to levels for Nuke on Rydia, so just Berserking, Yang, and Kane, pure Berserker strats. Berserk is a very strong spell. Even Berserking Rydia with a Dragon Led should do a bit of damage.
Every little bit helps, especially when you're only working with like 3. Oh, not even Dragon. No, Artemis.
So right there, let's Artemis spell from the Rat Tail.
I mean, you know, you talked about it beforehand that Dusty was a first place finisher in which one was it? The Apple Tape?
I think it was the Apple, yes.
Yeah, and Dusty Griff is one of the just top runners. And you know, while we were talking about Dusty Griff getting that first place finish, Zyrak found the Darkness Crystal at top tower. But Dusty Griff joining us #1 again. Are you surprised?
Thanks, DG. I'm surprised, yes.
So congratulations on your win.
Hey, thank
How's
you.
it feel? So you went, I think, first, second, and now first again.
Yeah.
How's it feel being at, I think that's 35 total points going forward with 4 more events?
I'm a little surprised, and by little I mean I'm not sure how that's happened, truthfully, but it felt like a pretty good run. Most things felt pretty clean on this one, except for my Ashura fight, but yeah, I wasn't expecting to find that Legend Sword hanging out at CPU. I'd imagine most people would see him there and just be like, I don't want to deal with that right now, and put it off, but I hate double dipping, so I went down and did it, so worked out.
So what you're saying is I need to just have a natural hatred for double dipping because both Penguinator and I said that exact same thing.
Yeah.
We were like, no, no.
I knew it wasn't going to be the fastest fight, but it's just like I just hate double dipping so much. And I know with boost you can get through most things, so that's why I like cabined before I even checked, because I was pretty much committing myself to just doing whatever was there. And when I saw CPU, I knew it was just like a matter of do around 9k damage and then queue up a Meteor to go off, so at least it wasn't too arduous.
So once we saw you pick up that Legend Sword, we did see you continue to cash in that pan. What were you hoping to find when you did that?
Maybe 10 key items, because if I got 3 more key items I would have been at 10, so that pan chain technically could have led to 10. Now, obviously, like I should have known I knew after the first item I couldn't get 10, but after the first item I was also still like, well, I could get an adamant out of this or something. But I was super pleased to end up with a Dragoon Spear out of it, because I knew I could just put Kane in the middle, then he would always get first turn, and I could just hold A during the grind, which makes it so much faster than having to coffin or rely on someone else.
For sure.
So with getting the first, the second, and then the first again, are you planning on getting second in the next final table?
I would be totally pleased with another second. I would be pleased to make it to another final table at all. It's been pretty neat to play in all these things. So
I would not be surprised at this point.
I mean, you kind of have a trend, man. You're just saying.
Hey, I'll take that trend. I'll take that trend.
Hey, but I think everybody, who's playing in the World Series of FE is wondering, when is the retirement ceremony? No, no, I'm just joking with you, man. I was really excited to see that. The plays were fantastic, really well done. I mean, you like you said, your Shura fight was a little, but nobody knows so rough a Shura fight. It went just fine. And of course the hook seed was a complete debate. Nothing was hard. Mylon was just like, yeah, you think I'm gonna be, but no.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
on Forge, I tend to like to just clear everything just in case on Forge before checking, because, like I said earlier, I hate double dipping. I don't like going into Eblon and seeing what boss is. I just want to clear everything before that and figure out what path I have. Because the thing with Forge is you need so many parts to get go mode anyways that I just like clearing everything before you have to go through Eblon Cave if it's a hook seed. Because you could end up with Magma Key, you could end up with a Brandon Foos somewhere, you could end up with an Adamant Armor. There's so many things, or one of the items you need to forge the crystal in the first place, plus extra experience. So
yeah, and while we're here, I do want to say that Aizen is in Meteor phase. Rocks are falling.
Awesome.
So yeah, we are boom, done. Aizen has just officially hit Hot Done in second place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 56 seconds. I'm going to say this right now. I am more surprised that 2 people on the same restream finished first and second.
We may see 3 still. Error's pretty close.
Hey.
Yeah.
Free Enterprise.
Yeah, that's also what I was gonna say. It's like, and not even then, we might even see third place here as well. Like that's crazy.
Hey, hype stream.
For real. Hey, come bring it all over here, man. But yeah, that's so with you finishing, 2 first and a second without even being done with the final tables of World Series of FE. What kind of advice would you give folks who are learning or maybe at that struggling moment where you have a tough, that little bit of a curve where it's hard to get over that hump? And
absolutely,
what kind of advice would you give?
I'd say just keep trying. Try until you beat a seed. I know there's my curve. I know exactly what seed it was. I went up maybe, a couple months into playing. I played a race and I found Kanaizo at Rubicon spot, which is one of the worst bosses ever. And when I did that, I think it took me an hour to beat him in that spot. It was just ridiculously long. And I felt totally deflated after it, but I kept practicing after that. And I hope I've gotten much better since that point. But it's just a matter of practice and hanging out in other people's streams and asking them questions and learning the game, because there's just it's crazy how many layers there are to the game, truly. Just so many things to learn. But yeah, just keep playing the game and keep asking questions. So many people in the community are happy to answer. Very, very good advice. And honestly, it's the age-old advice from all the coaches of of sports ball and everything like that. But it's true. It's practice. Exactly. I think I wasn't naturally good at this game or anything like that, and I'm still learning and I'm still trying to get better and stuff. And it took me a long time to get to a phase where I'm pretty happy with how I can execute and things like that. But just a lot of playing. Not only is he a handsome man, he is also humble. So, oh my goodness. So thank you, Dusty. I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate you giving the advice to all the people out there who are Free Enterprise fans. And on top of that, I will say, join the Discord.
join the Discord. Like, I can't say that enough. Join.
Absolutely.
So I do think we're going to try to bring our second place finisher Eisen in now, because finishing second is also a very, very sizable thing, especially with the set of runners we had in this. So
I'll let you folks get back to it. And GG's to all the racers, and GG's to Eisen, and thank you both for the commentary, and thank you to the Restream team.
Absolutely, and thank you, Dusty. We do appreciate it, man. Hope to see you in no other final table, because I know when it.
We'll see what happens. All right, thanks, folks.
All right, GG, Dusty.
GG.
Looks like we're joined by Eisen as well. Congrats on your second place finish. Might have a muted mic.
While we're trying to figure out.
Yeah, well, we'll try to sort that out. So Zyrak seems a little bit lost now. He's found Edge on the moon. He cleared out Bahamut Cave, found a Luca Key there. Nothing good in the sealed case. Now he's back fighting more moon bosses. Kind of unfortunate for him. Definitely not the wrong play from his perspective. Just clearing out more bosses. And Error now seeing the Meteo. Almost done for him. And final hit for Error. GG to Error, final time of 1:23.52, finishing in 3rd place. So top 3, go Team Free Enterprise. Best restream in the business.
I am floored. Not that I didn't expect great things out of the runners we had here, but top 3 finishing on one restream is like, that's unheard of. That's like statistically just unreal. But amazing job by everybody. And even with the road we see Zyrak going down, they're handling these fights and handling everything extremely well. And Eisen is saying that they are having some tech issues. They must be having some sort of microphone issue. Not sure. We're going to see about getting Error in here as well, and giving them an interview also. But so while we do that, though, we do see Zyrak fighting the Magus.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, yep, just heard you. I think that was Eisen.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're cutting out a bit there, though.
About now.
Alright, that sounds good. So congrats on your 2nd place finish.
Kind of surprising. I just had some bad boss fights all around, especially the Z.
What level were you? Was it about 44, 45?
Yeah, I'd planned on just berserking and then using Rydia, but I only got one shot off.
And so you were actually the last of at least the runners on our stream to make it to the underground, but we saw you make a pretty quick beeline for CPU. What motivated you to head there so quickly?
I saw earlier that Fu had Meteor, and I had bought Ether 2s before going up to the top of the tower, so I was like, I'll just use Meteor and get through that pretty quick, hopefully, which kind of did. And then, see, I was going to go. Bahamut was my next.
I was saying that's a very interesting take on that too. Decide to go to CPU because you had Meteor first. Like Bahamut, what with Bahamut being relatively easy with just using Star Veils or Reflect strats or anything like that, what made you decide to go, other than having Meteor, was there anything that made you decide to go CPU over Bahamut first?
Well, I had 5 Star Veils, so I was originally at first I was going to go into Bahamut and do walls, and then I decided to go with the Meteor route and then go to Bahamut after. It was just a crazy.
That makes a lot more sense, actually. I don't think either one of us were aware of how many Star Veils you had, but you being aware of that makes a lot more sense of why you would go to CPU over that, just to work that out since you had Ether 2s over that, so it's a lot easier to handle. But yeah, in all honesty, the only thing it really would have done was give you the pan, maybe give you a little bit more gear to work with, because Dragoon Spear was the second item, and a Protect Ring was the item at Sylph. So if you decided to go over there, you really wouldn't have been led too far astray. It kind of all led back to CPU or top tower. So, with the question that I asked Dusty that I want to ask you as well, finishing second in final table is no small feat. That's actually a very amazing thing to do. And as you said, with any struggles that you may have had, you were the last of our restream runners to get down underground, but you were the second to finish overall. Something I like to ask: what kind of advice would you give to new runners or even struggling runners, or any advice that you maybe would have given yourself after you got started with FE? Anything you'd like to say to anybody like that?
Not that I can think offhand. It's just, I think I wasted a lot of time on the overworld, but I kind of wish I checked more towns because I didn't have any cabins or anything or any healing. I was just lucky the boss at the top was kind of easy. Always check for that boss.
Alright, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up with you. Thank you for interviewing with us, Eisen, and GG again. And we do have Error waiting in the wings to talk to us as well.
Thank you.
Alright, are you still here, Error?
Yeah, I'm here.
Alright, well, GG, congrats on third place, and good job repping Team Free Enterprise Restream. Top 3.
Thank you. So I don't know what to say about that seed. It was just, I made a couple of mistakes, but I felt pretty good about how I played, relatively speaking. I knew I was at 9 key items when I finally hit go mode, so I was like, okay, I got top of tower and I've got Odin Spot. Odin Spot's easier to get to, so I went there first and ended up was less than successful, but I think ultimately just the way the times ended up, I don't think it cost me any spots to spend a little bit of time there.
Yeah, Kanado there is certainly a rude boss, not something you really want to deal with in any situation.
So I'm kind of glad I went up there because I don't know if I would have checked the Sand Ruby character otherwise, and having Rosa was a boon. Just the considerably amount more hit points that she has over Porum has just made the Z fight much, much safer. I played the Z fight relatively safe. I reflected a couple of nukes early, but then after, the first black hole, I decided to just kind of just wait on standby and let Yang and Kane finish it out. Were there berserk or were there boxes anywhere? Because either I didn't notice them, or they were on the moon, or they didn't exist.
They might have been on the moon. I did not notice when Zyrak checked the moon shop if they were there, but none of the other runners who stayed overworld found any. So you did not miss them.
Also, I'm very glad I did not do an early tower check, because In all of the qualifiers that I did, as soon as I got the Darkness Crystal, I went to the moon.
Yeah, I did that in the qualifier I did, and it ended up being the wrong decision. Yeah, it's
Based on the amount of, spots I had left to check, I knew it was likely Darkness Crystal was either at top of tower or Odin at the very end. But
you were not wrong. Odin ended up having a white spear, and the top of tower was the Darkness Crystal. Unfortunately, that's what Zyrac is going through right now. They're actually going through doing moon spots check.
oh, then not well. Trying to fight Kinazo at Odin would have been even more of a waste of time because I would not have got my 10th key item that I was looking for.
Yeah, unfortunately, the only key item that was available was literally at the Darkness Crystal at the top of the tower. That's rough. But question I've asked, I'm sure you heard me ask it to Eisen. I want to ask, especially top 3 runners that finished on Free Enterprise, here today. Advice that you would give to folks just starting off or anything like that, because it's always easy to be somebody who runs the game and just not really think about what you would have told yourself starting off, or maybe what you would have told yourself at a moment of trying to get over that hump of just struggling at some point. What advice would you give to somebody in that kind of position?
That's a good question. I'm relatively new to Free Enterprise myself. I think I played my first seed after the league like a few months ago. So the biggest thing for a new runner is that when you're trying to learn the ropes, by default and the fastest setting, the fastest way to play the game is a battle speed 1. But if you're trying to learn the ropes a little bit, it certainly doesn't hurt to lower the battle speed to give you just a little bit more time to react, a little bit more time to see what the bosses do, a little bit more time to just do what you need to do to win. And then when you get more and more comfortable with the menus, more and more comfortable with the strats, then you can keep it on battle speed 1 and keep up with everyone else.
That is actually amazingly good advice. I will have to say that. I agree. That's actually a very good thing to say. Something like a wyvern can scare you, but turning that battle speed down is the difference between losing
and trying to do some bosses early, you almost have to turn the battle speed down just to give you time to avoid wyvern's a great example, to avoid the opening mega nuke for some flag sets. So
of course, and in one of the events that we have coming up, that's actually going to be something you'll probably see. Catalyte. It is named after a very good runner, Cataclysm, and they are just really good at making super hard flag sets. So Catalyte is just a knocked down version of it, and things are not as easy when it comes to safeties and things like that. So knowing all the tricks is really going to help, and turning the battle speed down even at a lower level is just something really good to know. So, but Air, GG to you, definitely GG. Did you I know you said at the beginning, did you have anything else you wanted to say to this seed, or how much you love Scala for making it?
It wasn't too bad of a seed overall, just because the Feymarch bosses, weren't bad at all. I kind of regret, not doing CPU right, the first time I was there in hindsight. I got to overhear Eisen's interview, like, in its entirety. If I thought, it's like, yeah, Fru's got Meteor, and that spot doesn't really have that many hit points. So instead, I tried the convoluted try and land float on the attacker so I could use Quake strat, and that didn't work out. So I eventually just berserked Kane and Yang, and after some hilarity, finally beat it. There is one more thing I'd like to mention. Go Edward, go on Plague.
Yeah, that final hit on Plague though, he saved you down to that zeros, man. Double zeros.
I was torn between, because that spot doesn't have very many hit points, and I was torn between trying to throw a level 3 spell with Tella or throwing a virus on Edward and reviving him.
Yeah, either one of those is just a very rough decision at the point that, like, you let it go so far that it got scary because you have to wait for him to cast. And if you catch it at the wrong point and he casts fast, then that timer ticks down like 2 more times. All of a sudden, your whole team's dead.
Right. So it was one of those. I was certain I had lost, and then Edward got the final attack off. It's like, maybe I've got a chance. 84 damage. Nope. But time to. Yeah!
Lucky your trigger finger isn't as bad as like somebody else's that would just been like, man, click and just reset the whole thing, man. Because I don't know if did you save in the bear?
I saved in Watery Pass, but I didn't save after doing Rubicant. But Rubicant was pretty easy because Ice 3 just totally wrecks them.
Yeah, and that spot is pretty slow too, so it ends up working out in that. But yeah, that's like at least you saved in the spot beforehand because the reset wouldn't have been too bad, but it's still like that's a painful reset. That's never a fun. So,
right.
But I do want to thank you, for being one of our restream runners, and I didn't really get a chance to say it because after Dusty finished, like Eisen was right behind that, and then you were right behind Eisen. Not too far behind, but all of y'all were within minutes of each other. So GG to you, definitely. Give all these runners a follow. Era72, Eisen Tayama, Dusty Griff, and Zyrak as well, _ after Zyrak. All of them, fantastic job. They were your entertainment today, and like literally, they are awesome. 1, 2, and 3 here on Free Enterprise. Like, yeah, that's the way to do it right there. That's the way to show why you should be here.
Yay! It's randomizer. Sometimes you make the correct decision, sometimes you don't.
But even randomizer though, man, come on. Like, the top 3 and the final table finish in the same restream, that's nuts. That's statistically insane. That's great. I'm a numbers geek. I'm sorry. Okay? Forgive me. Y'all can hurt me later. I'm a numbers geek. I love statistical anomalies.
I understand.
So it does look like Zyrak is heading back to do the one and only thing they should have done. Unfortunately, they did not find the pink tail. They ended up finding a lot of other red herrings in the form of Tower Key, form of the Earth Crystal, so they're not going to those long drawn out things. They're going to go do the easier fight, and they're probably going to think, oh man, this was right next to me the whole time. But in the meantime, we did have other finishers. The 4th place finisher was Supremacy with a final time of 126.55. Definitely GG to Supremacy on that end, and I want to give a GG to Chaco Sura, finishing with 133.17. Rivers McCown finishing in 6th place with 134.20. We do have a couple other finishers as well. 7th and 8th place, Night Dew and Kobahi, 137.09 and 140.57, respectively. So GG to all of those runners.
Alright, so Zyrak did full clear the moon, but now realizes nobody else could have done all that and, finished that quickly, so he's headed back to the one thing he skipped, the CPU. It looks like he did Berserk Yang, so just hoping Yang hits the right targets, I guess. Of course, with Berserk, it's random targeting with the attacks. And so one good thing about clearing out the whole moon is his party is quite leveled, so it doesn't matter too much if he hits the right targets or not. He'll kill this pretty quickly just with everyone doing thousands of damage per hit.
Yeah, that was that was cake. But after doing a full clear on the moon, that's basically it's the moon grind without actually doing it.
And we did just have a 9th place finisher, Nirn, with a time of 1:41.29.
This is the FE version of like Link to the Past rage bombing, where you drop bombs and just like, okay, I'm mad at this chest, I'm mad at this item that I found in this location that has made me upset. That was Zyrax showing those frustrations.
So Zyrax is in go mode. Probably has enough levels to just head directly to Zeromus at this point, I would think, from all those moon bosses. And having Edge as well, he picked up from the Lunar Palace, will make his fight a little bit faster, having a nice extra damage dealer.
Oh wow. That shop actually had a pretty decent shop. Rune Axe and Artemis arrows being there, it's pretty nice. Not really going to need to buy much of that, though. Deciding to go ahead and get the Artemis arrows, I guess, for
Rosa, I guess. Could see some spicy quadruple berserk strats.
Oh, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, you know, why not? You have Fu, and with that much damage, I don't think you're going to have to cast very many Cure Fours. And this is going to be the fastest Zeromus fight that you see today. This is by far going to be like textbook cakewalk. I have 5 overpowered characters. Right?
And I'm not sure if he did find Bacchus wines on the moon or not. If not, we might actually see Edge even just dart a bunch of spears and swords that he has lying around for some extra damage. Dart scales with level. It's basically level times the attack power of the weapon, so does pretty high damage as Edge gains some levels, and if you have nice extra equipment lying around.
Yeah, it's a very good ability, especially if you don't have Bacchus wines, because every berserk cast you do with Fu or Rosa in this case, it takes up more time. Rosa luckily can take care of somebody else, and on her next turn, after Fu gets somebody, can do it berserk herself. And if you have a Bacchus wine in your inventory, you could just use a single one. Because I know there was one, I want to say, in Feymarch. I think there was one they found in Feymarch. I don't know if it's been used or not.
We do have Fusoya in the middle slot. I think you mentioned before, Fusoya has agility 20. That's pretty much going to be constant in any situation. He doesn't gain that many levels. So, not the best agility anchor, but it'll do just fine with this party. Pretty strong characters all around at this point.
Yeah, and after doing a Silk Web, you're going to be at a manageable level. You're going to be doing what's called jamming the queue with Berserker strats, and you're going to be pretty much set. So, and I think that's a good assessment that they didn't find Bacchus wines. This is a Bacchus-less seed, because I doubt that out of all 4 runners that none of them would have found Bacchus wines. I'm pretty sure they checked all.
It's actually a kind of rough start here. The first big bang coming out before Zyrax actually gets any of the berserks off, because, as you said, no Bacchus wine means has to manually cast it with Fusoya and Rosa. So Edge waiting for his berserk, so for now he's just darting whatever spare swords are lying around.
Yeah, because in Zeromus' script, after every second big bang in the first phase, they will do a move called Black Hole, which removes all magics, wall, berserk, those are magics. Removes those, and you have to recast. So without having Bacchus ones, that's pretty detrimental. And then in second phase, it's after every Big Bang that they would do a black hole. So this is going extremely fast, faster than I honestly expected it to, even with a Fu anchor. I'm not sure what. I'm pretty sure whatever they have is not. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure why it's this fast. But then again, the Q isn't jammed either because they have to berserk manually. So.
With Rosa Berserk, this could get a little scary with just Fusoya and Edge tossing Cure 3s. But Black Hole will cancel out the Berserk, so perhaps we'll see a shift to have Rosa healing rather than attacking with Berserk.
And the good news is the only items that they put on Rosa that were attack items were the Artemis Bow and Artemis Arrows. So a quick switch to the item menu to back to a more healable weapon with Lunar Staff or what have you will help with those heals. Because Artemis Bow actually hurts healing a lot.
Alright, though, he's feeling confident, just berserking back up and swinging away, trying to get Gadamus down as quickly as possible. Looks like we still have a Fire and Ice Claw on Yang, so a little bit unfortunate not to have Cat Claws or at least Poison Claws for some stat boosts, but nonetheless, Yang does a lot of damage just from having high levels, doesn't really need to have a weapon as much as other people do.
Yeah, the weapons really don't have much of an effect on his damage. Cat Claws are the best one to have on him because it does give him just enough to give him a little extra boost, and it doesn't also give him some like actual extra hits as well, not exactly just the damage boost, but as far as like raw damage, but the actual extra hit modifier as well.
Yeah, so all damage is kind of based on hit multipliers in this game, and it's based on every 8 strength or every 16 agility. So having the stat bonuses on those Cat Claws will increase Yang's damage by I guess roughly 10% at this point. 10 or 20, not sure the numbers. Just from having those extra multipliers. Effectively, as you said, extra hits.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure we're in phase 2 at this point. That Big Bang was a pretty strong. Might have just been high rolls, but and that is some awesome strats. I love seeing that when Fu is having trouble with having to cast too much, having another character that has magic like Cecil, or having just anybody who like Edge in this case, using Psych to get that magic back is always a good idea, so that way you're prepared. But with that, Zyrak does get 10th place finish at 1 hour, 50 minutes, and 52 seconds. GG to Zyrak with, Rando being Rando. That is what happens. We are going to see about getting Zyrak M to do a quick interview. We're going to ask and see what they would like to do. But yeah, definitely GG to Zyrak. Pulling that off. Having a really just off the wall Zeromus fight. Really showing the skill and moving and making sure that they keep up with everything using Cure 3 potions and everything like that. So.
joined by Zyrek. GG on your finish.
Thank you.
So I have to ask, what were you thinking when you first saw that dot done?
I was thinking it was either CPU or it was a quick grab off the moon and back down to Earth kind of thing. So that's why I checked Cave Bahamut first. When both Bahamut and then especially when the Zot, the Maga Sisters didn't pay off, I was pretty sure it was going to be CPU, but I mean, I couldn't just leave at that.
Yeah, for sure. Can't blame you. It's hard to guess that, at that point. Just based off, people finishing could be either one. So early on, I think you ran into Asura at Baron Inn, and you decided that one was not worth your time. So what were you thinking there?
I don't know. I kind of figured that if that was going to be a piece of the puzzle, we'd be seeing like 50-minute finishes, considering we had Zeromus access already and the Adamant already. So I don't know. I was kind of fine leaving it. Honestly, I only came back and did it later when I was running out of stuff to do.
Right. Yeah, and you were actually first to the underground, at least on our restream, by quite a bit, because you did not commit to that, whereas the others did follow through with Baron Castle.
I kind of figured, and I kind of felt good about that. When like the 40-minute mark or so hit and no one finished, I felt pretty good about it. I don't know. I felt like I was really efficient in what I chose to do. I skipped one location because I felt like that fight was going to be too much time investment for only one item, and it wound up having the legend. It's just the way it is sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So I think when you did get underground, we saw you go Dwarf Castle first. Was that mainly hoping for a character?
Partly, yeah. Whenever I don't have the pan or the tower key, Dwarf Castle becomes better for me as well, because it sort of limits the possibility of having to double dip something. So, I mean, if I get into the underground and I have a decent amount of key items already, even if the character is appealing, I'll skip it a lot of the time. But only having 4 characters, having like basically no offense, so even just getting the access to Titan at that point is appealing. And yeah, hoping for the pan or the tower key. That's when I get checklists of Dwarf Castle. That basically checks all the boxes.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that Dusty guy is on a bit of a roll in this tournament. That's really impressive to finish top 2. I think he hasn't finished worse than 4th in any qualifier he's raced either. Just absolutely on fire. GG's to him. Congrats on the win.
And for some perspective for all our viewers, Dusty does now have 35 total points. Second place after this race is Chokosura at 20. So that is more than an entire race in order for anyone to catch him at this point, because 12 is the most you get from one race.
So he has to legitimately completely miss a final table, and that means Chokosura would have to finish first in a final table in order to be right next to where Dusty's at right now. So yeah, Dusty's definitely on the on the fast track there. But Zyrek, I do want to say that, like you said, with any kind of randomizer, rando is going to rando. That's the way it works. It's a gamble at times, and it's a 50-50 shot at times. It's all depending on where you decide to go and what you decide to do. That just plays out one way or another. That could mean first, that could mean, in this case, 10th. So what you did do, however, is handle many of fights extremely efficiently, and you actually made some really good recoveries. In particular, the Zeromus fight, which seemingly I figured was going to be a breeze with being as leveled as you were, but it came back and started to fight hard. I were you thinking that were you worried about that at any point? Like,
Yes and no. The turn order really kind of messed me up, really, because Edge was sitting there non-berserk forever, which is a mistake on my part. That shouldn't happen. Especially when I did berserk him and he was doing more damage than Yang and Kane were. I was like, oh my god, this was so silly to just leave him sitting like this. So I handled the first part of that fight pretty poorly. Once I healed up after the first major Big Bang, it was fine, really. But yeah, I should have played better.
Sure, and I mean, it happens, but I do want to say making it to the final table in itself is a very good thing. So, but with that, I'd like to give you a chance to say any final words, any advice or anything like that. You'd like to say anybody, anything you'd like to say to end out the night?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I felt like I had a good race. It's comforting to hear that I was underground early, at least from the guys that you were watching. That's good. That's sort of what I wanted when the seed broke out the way it did. So I'm glad that played out. I just CPU felt like it was. I mean, to be fair, it wasn't healing as much as I thought it would in that spot. When I did go back and do it. So maybe I should have considered it differently. I just felt like the only real credible source of damage I had was Kane jumping. I felt like that was just going to take forever. So I just left it. But hey, that's what happens. At least I got to show you guys the moon, I guess, because I don't think the other three guys probably went up there. So I mean, it's like you said, rando's going to rando sometimes. That's what happened, and whatever, shake it off and do some more qualifiers later.
Yeah, and that is the case. And GG to you. You finished, and that's saying something in itself. Getting to the final table, finishing the seed up, going to the moon, and finding out where it was at. All of that, it played out still. GG to you, Cyrek. Thank you for being one of our restream runners. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Penguin and UA for the commentary. Tira for picking up the restream. Ali for the tracking. I appreciate it. And see you guys on one of the race streams eventually, I assume.
Yeah, and congrats again on just making it here.
Thank you.
Alright, I think that will wrap things up for us on this restream. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you to my co-commentator Unknown Availability, and as Cyrek mentioned, our restreamer Tirasu and our tracker Allegrbrop. Taking my turn to try to pronounce that one.
Yeah, and of course, keep your eyes peeled. Stay tuned. There's going to be other matches for the World Series of Free Enterprise. Most particularly next week. What is coming up next week?
So coming up next is Reject %, where you can see all your favorite characters that your favorite runners love to ditch, including Rydia, Edward, and Tella. And so that will be starting actually tomorrow. I will have 4 qualifiers as usual running this weekend. The first one begins at noon Eastern Time tomorrow.
Now, I do not believe the noon runs are going to be restreamed. I don't think those are going to be restreamed. There's still going to be an SRL room for those. The nighttime runs are being restreamed. So definitely keep your eyes peeled for those if you're wanting to run in these. The qualifiers are there. Come on in. It's the water's fine. It's a little bit of a harder one, but you know what? They made the flags very well for this. There's also Catalyte still coming up, and Edward % and the 2v2 races as well. So keep your eyes peeled here on the Free Enterprise channel for the qualifiers, as well as all over for the final tables. But thank you, Penguinator, for joining me. I really appreciate it. It's been a blast.
It's been my pleasure commentating with you.
All right, with that, everybody have a great day and keep on randoing.